Hello, listeners. Welcome to the Fantasy Garden. Take a deep breath and relax with the freshness of the wind as I tell you a story. Sometimes all you want is to get home, close the door, and pretend the day never happened. The same street, the same noises, the same worries repeating in your head like a scratched record. You follow your usual path, expecting nothing different, until you notice that, on this particular night, something feels out of place. A street lamp that's gone dark, a corner quieter than it should be, an alley you could swear you've never seen before. It's strange how, exactly when exhaustion weighs the most, the world seems to open tiny cracks you would never notice on ordinary days. The alley is narrow, poorly lit, and looks like it leads nowhere. There are no flashy signs, no shop windows trying to convince anyone of anything. Just a stretch of old walls, bricks worn down by time, and faint glimmers of light leaking from some distant window. And yet, there's something there that calls to you, like a calm sigh hidden behind the noise of the city. Maybe it's the contrast between the rushed movement of the main street and that quiet, almost shy retreat that seems to invite only those willing to slow down and look to the side. You hesitate for a moment because the logical part of your mind insists it's better to keep following the familiar route, go home, repeat the routine, turn on the TV, and try to forget the day. But there's another part, quieter, worn out, that's tired of all this. Tired of feeling like something is always missing. Tired of living on autopilot. Tired of never finding a place where the world stops pushing. And it's this part, the one that almost never wins, that now pulls you one small step into the alley. A small step, but enough to change the course of your night. As you walk forward, the sound of the city fades as if someone were slowly turning down the volume. Cars still pass, horns still exist, but everything feels distant now, more like a memory than something happening around you. In exchange, other sounds emerge. The soft dripping of a gutter, the discreet patter of fine rain hitting the ground, a faint echo that might be conversation, or perhaps just the creak of an old door. It feels like walking down a corridor between two worlds, one still trying to hold your arm, and the other gently offering a place to rest. Then you see it. At the end of the alley, a small storefront with fogged-up windows and a sign almost erased by time. It's not a modern sign, nothing neon, nothing trying too hard to be seen. Just a few hand-painted letters showing the name of a place you've never heard before. The light inside is low and warm, the kind that doesn't strain your eyes. Behind the glass, shadows move slowly, as if everything in there operated at a different rhythm. From where you stand, you can't make out many details, but one thing is clear. No one inside seems to be in a hurry. You could simply look, find it interesting, and walk away. Tell yourself you're too tired to discover anything new, that this is not the night for surprises, that you need to wake up early tomorrow. You could assume it's just an old café, nothing special, nothing that could truly change your day. But the truth is, you're already feeling something different just by standing there, staring at that door. A quiet curiosity without urgency, mixed with the sense that if you don't step inside now, you might never find this place again. And then a simple question emerges. What if, just this once, you allowed yourself a detour? With a final glance back at the street, you walk toward the door. The wood feels worn but solid, and the handle is cold under your touch. Before you even push it open, a gentle scent escapes through a tiny gap. Hot tea, maybe jasmine, mixed with something that reminds you of old books, paper, and ink. It's a familiar and new aroma at the same time, as if it belonged to memories you can't quite place. Without noticing, you breathe in deeper, as if your entire body were trying to absorb that moment. And finally, you push the door open, unaware that on the other side, a group of cats already knows you're coming. As soon as the door closes behind you, the sound of the city fades almost completely, as if it were miles away. The room is warmed by a soft glow coming from old-style lamps, spreading a gentle amber light that makes everything feel more inviting. The air carries the steam of hot tea mixed with the familiar scent of aged paper, creating a comforting blend that helps your body relax almost instantly. Nothing in the room tries to draw attention. It feels like a place that exists only for those who truly need to slow down. The immediate sensation is that you've stepped into a hidden refuge, a space that doesn't wish to be found by accident. Yet somehow, here you are. The furniture is simple but full of personality. Worn wooden tables, chairs that creak softly whenever someone shifts, tall bookshelves that nearly touch the ceiling. Books are everywhere, some stacked, others leaning in uneven lines, as if they've been read many times and returned without ceremony. There's no music playing, only the gentle sound of rain tapping against the window and a distant movement you can't quite identify. Everything is so calm it almost feels like a dream, one of those places that only appear when the mind is too tired to resist the unexpected. Still, something feels alive there, something watching and waiting. It's in that moment you notice a pair of bright eyes atop the counter. A large gray cat, with attentive eyes and dignified posture, sits as if he were the official greeter of the place. He doesn't flinch when you look at him. Instead, he seems to assess you with quiet interest, as though trying to understand what brought you there tonight. The feline holds himself upright, his tail moving slowly from side to side, giving him an unusual mix of curiosity and authority. There's no meowing, no sudden movement, no attempt to come closer, just a silent acknowledgement, as if he were mentally noting your arrival. Moments later, another cat emerges from between the shelves. This one is smaller, with soft yellow fur and half-closed eyes, wearing a tiny scarf tied loosely around his neck. He walks with the confidence of someone who knows every corner of that place, slipping between stacks of books as if following an invisible map. As he passes by you, he offers a brief, almost lazy glance, yet somehow it carries a quiet welcome. The way the cats move together creates a peculiar impression. They're not random animals living in an abandoned space. They are the hosts, the silent guardians of that bookshop café that seems to exist outside the usual rhythm of the city. You look more closely and notice that behind the counter, a kettle is working on its own, releasing a steady trail of steam as if someone had just prepared it. Nearby, porcelain cups are neatly arranged, and one of them seems to have been placed there specifically for you. On the table in front of the counter, an open book rests with tiny inked paw prints marking its pages, as if one of the cats had been reading it moments earlier. The strangeness of it all grows, but not in a frightening way. More like you've stepped into a place where the unusual is simply part of the routine. In the middle of this quiet discovery, the gray cat tilts his head, as if inviting you to come closer. There are no words, of course, but there's a mutual understanding, almost instinctive, that this place only reveals what it wants to when the visitor is willing to let it. You don't know how long you'll stay, nor whether you were meant to find this cafe at all, but something inside you finally finds a moment of rest after days of wait. And before you move on to the next detail of this unexpected night, let me offer a simple invitation. If this story is already drawing you in, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. It helps me keep bringing peaceful moments like this to you. The gray cat hops down from the counter with the precision of someone who has done it for years. He doesn't make a sound, but the way he walks toward an empty table makes it clear he's guiding you. There's something almost ceremonial in his movements. His tail held high, his step steady, his gaze checking on you from time to time to be sure you're following. It feels strange to let an animal lead your evening, yet everything seems natural, as if this place operated under its own set of rules and you were simply adjusting to its rhythm. The chosen table is by the window, where the rain runs down in thin lines, carving tiny paths across the glass. As you sit, the chair creaks softly, revealing its age and the constant use it has endured. The room remains wrapped in a comfortable silence, broken only by the sound of the rain outside and the occasional rustling of pages being turned by one of the cats. The small yellow feline reappears with something in his mouth. A bookmark, worn but still beautiful, decorated with drawings of dried leaves. He sets it gently on the table, almost like an official welcome. Then he settles beside a stack of books, watching you with the serenity of someone who has seen dozens of visitors arrive here in the same way. Distracted, tired, searching for something they can't quite name. A few seconds pass before you notice a third presence. From one of the higher shelves emerges a sleek black cat, holding himself with the poise of an experienced librarian. He carries something delicately between his teeth. A small, dark blue book with a faded golden border. The cat places it in front of you with almost human precision, as if offering exactly the reading he believes matches your night. It's impossible not to find it curious, an animal selecting a book with such accuracy. And yet, when you look at the title subtle, almost erased, you sense that perhaps the choice really does make some kind of quiet, uncanny sense. The book feels old, with yellowed pages and the faint scent of something kept safe for a long time. As you run your fingers across the cover, you notice signs of wear, tiny creases that reveal many eyes have passed over those words before. The cats, sitting nearby, follow your movements with calm attention. The black one settles at your side as if ready to listen to the story with you, while the yellow one rests his head on his paws, waiting patiently. The sensation of being watched isn't uncomfortable. On the contrary, it feels as though you've entered some gentle ritual, an unspoken agreement that while you're here, this is your place of rest. When you open the book, the first page reveals a beautiful script, perhaps handwritten, with careful letters flowing naturally across the paper. The content doesn't reveal itself immediately, because the cats seem to be waiting for you to take the first sip of the cup of tea that has somehow appeared on the table without you noticing. Its aroma is soft, warm, slightly floral jasmine, without a doubt. The steam rises slowly, forming small clouds that dissolve in the air. It's a simple gesture, yet it's impossible not to wonder who, or which cat, prepared it all beforehand, as if they knew exactly how to make that moment comfortable for you. Holding the open book, with the cats nearby and the rain composing the natural backdrop of the scene, you realize the night has taken a completely unexpected turn. None of this was planned, and yet everything fits together with a strange and comforting naturalness. This isn't a place that demands hurry, immediate answers, or obligations. It's simply a space where time slows down, where, for a few quiet moments, you're allowed to exist without being pulled in every direction. And in this serene atmosphere, you prepare to discover what the book contains, unaware that, when you turn the next page, something even more curious is about to happen. When you turn the first page, you find a text written in gentle lines, almost as if someone had whispered the story before placing it on paper. The cats around you seem to recognize the beginning. They all settle in, as if they too are ready to listen. The book tells the story of a traveler who, years ago, stumbled upon this very same cafe by chance. He was tired, sad, and felt that life had stopped making sense. When he stepped into the quiet space, a gray cat, perhaps the same one beside you now, offered him a similar book, guiding him to a table near the window. The reading changed something inside him, something simple but essential, as if the place had restored a forgotten piece of his soul. As you read, the rain outside grows stronger, creating a steady and comforting rhythm against the glass. Water slides down in continuous lines, blurring the view of the street and turning everything outside into indistinct shadows. The sound fits perfectly with the cadence of the story, as if the rain were part of it, an element reinforcing the calm, introspective atmosphere. The cats remain still, attentive, almost as if making sure you're sinking into the narrative the right way. There's something curious about it. The strong feeling that this book, this story, and this night were somehow prepared for you without any prior warning. The text doesn't describe grand adventures or dramatic events. Instead, it speaks of small pauses, the importance of breathing slowly, and the beauty of simple moments that often go unnoticed. It tells how the traveler spent days returning to the cafe, always finding a different book, each one bringing some kind of clarity about life. He learned to appreciate the sound of rain, the scent of tea, and the silent company of the cats. The book suggests subtly that the cafe doesn't choose its visitors randomly. It appears to those who need it, but remains accessible only to those who genuinely seek a moment of rest. By the end of this first story within the story, you realize the traveler never discovered who actually cared for the cafe. He never saw humans working there, never noticed doors opening or closing by human hands. Everything always unfolded naturally before his eyes, as if the environment operated on its own. And yet, he never felt alone. The cats were enough, not only as company, but as silent guides. The text implies that perhaps the cafe exists to fill a need the modern world has forgotten to meet. A place that asks nothing in return except true presence. The cats around you remain attentive when you close the book for a moment, processing what you've just read. The black cat lifts his head and stretches slowly, as if marking the end of the first chapter. The yellow one follows the motion, blinking at you before resting again, as if waiting for your reaction. The atmosphere hasn't changed, yet it feels denser, more alive, as if the traveler's memories were still floating in the air. It's strange to think that you are now living the very thing someone once wrote, or perhaps what the cafe itself, in its own way, once expressed. When you touch the next page, you feel the rough texture of the paper, a reminder that more stories await inside. The book seems to encourage a slow pace, a calm reading, as if it wants to show that there is no urgency in reaching the end. The cats seem to approve of this rhythm, this care, this willingness to savor each small detail. You take a deep breath, glance once more at the rain falling outside, and realize that something within you has also begun to slow down. The night is far from over, and the cafe, with its quiet secrets, seems more than ready to reveal much more. When you turn the page, something different happens. It's not a loud sound or anything alarming, just a small noise, almost imperceptible, coming from the nearby shelves. You hear it like a soft sliding, as if pages were being adjusted or book covers brushing lightly against one another. The curious part is that no one seems to have touched anything. The cats remain close to you, still and attentive only to your movement with the book. Even so, it feels as though something on the shelves has rearranged itself, as if the place had a will of its own and shifted in response to your reading. It isn't unsettling. In fact, it's almost comforting to realize the space feels alive, attuned to your rhythm. When you look at the shelf to your right, you notice that one book has subtly shifted. Before, it sat a few centimeters back, nearly hidden, but now it rests closer to the edge, part of its cover clearly visible. The soft lighting seems to have adjusted as well, illuminating that exact spot, highlighting the volume as if saying, "This one next." The black cat sitting on the table follows your gaze and blinks slowly, as if approving the discovery. There's no rush, no pressure for you to take the book now, but it's obvious the café is guiding you toward what it considers important, doing so in a way so natural it feels like a silent conversation. Even so, you return your attention to the main book you're reading. The next pages describe a particularly rainy night in the previous traveler's story. He recounts the moment he realized, for the first time, that objects seemed to move when he needed something. That night, he was confused, thinking of giving up on the life he was living, convinced he wouldn't find answers anywhere. But while lost in those thoughts, a book fell from a shelf, landing right at his feet. That book spoke of simple new beginnings, of small changes that can alter the course of an entire life. It was as if the café had chosen that book for him, the same way it now seems to be doing for you. As you reflect on this, you notice the rain outside has grown stronger. The sound intensifies, creating a steady beat that fills the entire room, almost like a giant heart pulsing somewhere beyond the walls. Despite the strength of the storm, nothing about the noise feels threatening. In fact, the rain blends with the café's warmth, reinforcing the sense of protection the place offers. The cats seem even more at ease in this atmosphere, and the yellow one curls up at the base of the shelf, closing his eyes as he listens to the steady rhythm of the water. The moment carries a rare kind of calm, the kind that only appears when you allow yourself to truly be where you are. After a few minutes, you realize the book on the shelf, the one that was hidden before, seems even more prominent now. Not just because of the light, but because the other books around it seem to have subtly shifted back, as if making room for it. It's a small detail, easy to overlook, but you know something has changed. The cats watch your reaction, as if this were a silent test of your curiosity. You don't need to take it now. The café demands nothing. But you sense that, at some point tonight, that volume will play an important role in your experience. Before making any decision, you take a deep breath and let your fingers glide once more across the pages of the book already in your hands. The texture, the scent, the feeling of being somewhere that respects every pause and every thought make you slow down even more. The storm continues outside. The warmth of the tea still lingers in the air, and the cats stay close, like patient guardians. And in this slow rhythm, following the nearly imperceptible movement of the shelves, you realize, perhaps this café isn't just offering stories. Perhaps it's offering exactly what you need to rediscover within yourself. After a few moments observing the shelf, you feel a growing curiosity pulling your attention away from the first book. It's not an impulsive feeling. It's gentle, almost like a silent call insisting on being noticed. The book that moved forward on the shelf remains there, waiting without urgency, illuminated only by that warm amber light that seems to shine a little brighter whenever you glance at it. The cats stay still, as though they know exactly what is happening and are simply waiting for your decision. The atmosphere around you remains steady, with the sound of rain filling the empty spaces and the scent of tea lingering in the air, as if everything were carefully prepared for this moment. Slowly, you close the book you were reading, marking the page with the bookmark offered by the yellow cat. The simple act of shutting the cover creates a brief, deeper silence, as if the cafe itself were waiting to see what you will do next. Standing up feels almost symbolic, like you are crossing a threshold you didn't know existed. When your feet touch the wooden floor, the gray cat rises with you, following at a slow, deliberate pace. He isn't rushing you. He's just accompanying, as though this is the natural protocol when a visitor decides to explore beyond what was originally given. As you approach the shelf, you notice that the book has a cover unlike the others. It's darker, almost black, with subtle embossed details that only appear when the light hits it at a certain angle. There's no visible title, which only adds to the mystery. You reach out with slight hesitation, as if afraid the volume might slip away or move on its own. But when you touch it, the book remains steady, solid, with the rough texture of old, well-kept paper. The black cat appears beside you at that moment, watching your contact with the object as if evaluating whether this is truly the right time to take it. When you pull the book, you feel a faint resistance, almost as though the shelf itself hesitates to release it before being certain of your choice. But after a second, it slides out smoothly, as if recognizing your decision. The moment it rests fully in your hands, a gentle breeze, barely perceptible, passes through the room, rustling a few papers on nearby tables. It isn't strong enough to be unsettling, but just enough to make you think the cafe has noticed your choice and approved. The cats remain silent, each positioned in a different spot, forming a subtle circle around the moment. You walk back to the table slowly, carrying the book as if it were something more important than it appears at first glance. The yellow cat hops back onto the table, sitting close to where you'll place the new volume. He watches everything attentively, his eyes half closed in an expression that blends serenity with expectation. As you sit, you notice your cup of tea now releases more steam, as if it had been freshly refilled by someone or something. The room feels slightly different, even quieter, as though awaiting the revelation that will come when you open the new book. That gentle care makes you wonder how many stories have passed through here and how many people have lived moments like this. Before opening the volume, you take a deep breath, once again taking in the comforting blend of tea, wood, and rain. The cats move a little closer, forming a small semicircle around you. The entire cafe feels suspended in a single breath, waiting for the next movement. As you run your hand across the dark cover, you feel a faint warmth, as though the book has been waiting for this touch to awaken. And then, gently, you open the first page, ready to discover what kind of story you've chosen, or rather, what kind of story has chosen you. When you open the first page of the dark book, you immediately notice it's unlike any other you've ever held. There's no text, not at first. The page is completely blank, marked only by a small symbol in the lower corner. Something like a paw print, made with ink so faint it's almost invisible. The cats watch your reaction closely, as if that tiny detail were more important than it seems. The absence of words is not disappointing. Instead, it sparks a strange curiosity in you, a feeling that you're standing before something yet to be revealed, something that exists quietly, waiting for the right moment to show itself. When you turn to the second page, again there is no text. But this time, you notice faint marks along the paper's edges, as if small paws had walked across it earlier, leaving a trail so subtle it could only be seen under lighting like the cafe's. It feels as though other visitors, or perhaps the cats themselves, have contributed to the book in some way. The black cat moves closer, resting his head on the table as he observes the empty pages with an interest that suggests he knows exactly what is about to happen. The silence in the room grows denser, as if it's on the verge of breaking. The third page begins to reveal something different. In the center of the paper, a thin line, like a stroke of ink or a crack in the texture, slowly begins to form almost imperceptibly. It's not your hand drawing it, and it's not your imagination. The book is creating content before your eyes. The line stretches, curves, and becomes something resembling a letter, then another, until small sentences begin to appear, as if someone were writing on the other side of the page. The cats lift their heads simultaneously, watching the process with the reverence of those witnessing something rare and important. The air seems to vibrate softly, as if the entire cafe were participating in the moment. The phrases that appear are not about the past, nor about some old traveler. They are about you, your night, the path you walked, the moment you decided to step into the alley, and how you felt before opening that door. The book describes details you haven't told anyone. Quiet thoughts, hidden exhaustion, that feeling of being at your limit yet still pushing forward. Reading your own emotions written on the page, you feel a mixture of surprise and comfort. It's as if the cafe, in its own way, has read what you carry inside and placed it in words so you can finally recognize what you've been trying to ignore. As you turn another page, you see the text continues, describing not only your current state but something that resembles a possible path, a gentle direction. They aren't commands or magical predictions. They sound more like simple advice, the kind someone would whisper during an honest conversation. The book speaks of slowing down, allowing yourself to rest, finding small pauses before routine consumes everything around you. It speaks of the need to listen to yourself, even when the world outside insists you hurry. The cats beside you seem to approve each new line, as if they are used to watching the book reveal exactly what people most need to read. When you reach the end of that section, you notice something that makes the moment even stranger and somehow comforting. The following pages are blank again, waiting. It feels as though the book is never complete, because it's not meant to be. It writes only what is necessary, exactly what each visitor needs to find. As you close the volume slowly, you take a deep breath and sense the cafe remaining quiet, honoring this pause. The cats move a little closer, as if forming a protective circle around you, offering company without demanding anything in return. And in that moment, you realize that this story, your story, is only just beginning to be written. As you close the blank book, a strange yet comforting sensation moves through your body, as if the cafe had just offered you something too intimate to be understood all at once. You remain seated for a few moments, looking at the dark cover, reflecting on what you've just read, and on what might still be waiting. The sound of the rain continues to fill the room, but now it feels softer, less distant. The cats around you, silent and attentive, create a reassuring presence, as if they were there to make sure you have enough time to absorb the moment. And you realize more clearly now that this place is not just a bookshop cafe. It is a space that responds to the emotional state of whoever enters. As you observe the room, you notice details that had gone unnoticed before. The shelves, for instance, seem slightly different. Books that were once stacked are now resting in new places, as though they had been reorganized while you were reading. The light, which previously illuminated a certain area, now falls over another shelf, highlighting volumes you're sure you haven't seen. It's not an abrupt change, but a soft, precise shift, as if the cafe were subtly adjusting the environment in response to you. The gray cat climbs onto the table in front of you and sits there, looking at you with an expression that blends curiosity and understanding. It's almost as if he's about to explain something, without words. When you glance at the window, you notice that the glass, once fully blurred by moisture, now reveals a bit more of the street outside. The silhouettes of the buildings become visible, even with the rain still falling heavily. There's something symbolic about it. While the reading drew you inward, the cafe now seems to show you that there is a world outside, though you no longer need to face it with the same urgency. The room creates a bridge between introspection and return, as if preparing you for whatever comes next. This subtle balance is something no ordinary cafe could create. Everything here feels guided by a quiet intention. Slowly, the yellow cat jumps onto your lap, settling there naturally as if it were the next logical step of the night. He adjusts himself gently, purring softly, creating a rhythmic sound that blends with the rain in an almost hypnotic way. The warmth of the small feline brings an unexpected sense of safety, as though reminding you that not every connection needs to be grand or complex. Some are simply silent presence. The black cat, meanwhile, approaches the edge of the table and watches the scene with quiet interest, as if supervising a ritual he has witnessed many times before. It's in that moment that you realize the cafe isn't just offering stories. It's offering moments. Moments of pause, reflection, and recognition of yourself in your own silence. The book that wrote about you didn't provide definitive answers, but it offered clarity, as though it had brushed the dust off emotions you had forgotten. The room, the cats, even the rain seem to work together to create this safe space where you can breathe without haste and exist without having to justify anything. Everything here is built gently, as if the cafe knows exactly what each visitor carries, and knows how to lighten, even a little, the weight of the world. When you look again at the dark book, it no longer feels as mysterious. It still has blank pages, of course, but now that makes sense. It isn't a finished work. It is a living one, reshaping itself for each person who opens it. You take a deep breath and run your hand across the rough, familiar cover. The cats watch quietly, as if waiting for your decision to keep exploring or simply rest a little longer. And you understand in that instant that the cafe demands nothing. It simply accompanies you. The night is not over yet, and there is something in the air suggesting this hidden place still has more to reveal. You remain seated for a few moments, the yellow cat still resting comfortably on your lap and the dark book closed before you. The rain keeps falling steadily, yet it now sounds more distant, like a noise that requires no attention, only accompanies. In this gentle silence, something at the back of the cafe catches your eye. A shelf in the darkest corner, almost hidden behind an old column, seems brighter than it should be. You don't remember noticing it before. In fact, it feels as if it simply appeared, as if the room were revealing new parts of itself as you open up to the experience. The cats notice the change too. The gray one rises immediately, as if he recognizes exactly what that new point of light represents. The shelf is different from the others. It's made of darker wood, with carved details that resemble twisted branches or deep roots, something that gives it an air of ancient origin. There aren't many books on it. Only 3, each one a different size and shape, arranged with unusual care. The light that falls on them is brighter yet still soft, as though it were emanating from the books themselves. You feel a mix of curiosity and hesitation, not because the scene is threatening, but because everything in the cafe follows such intentional precision that you're afraid of choosing before understanding the purpose. As you stand, the yellow cat jumps gently to the floor and follows you closely. The black cat trails behind, like a silent shadow, while the gray one goes ahead and positions himself in front of the shelf, as though he is about to present something important. The feeling that the cats act as guides only grows stronger, and you realize they always appear at the right moments, never insisting, only leading when needed. The atmosphere remains warm and comforting, but there is a subtle weight in the air, not of danger, but of meaning. It feels as if you're approaching a crucial point of the night, a part of the experience reserved only for those who get this far. When you finally reach the shelf, you notice details that weren't visible from afar. The 3 books each have completely different covers. The first is small, made of light leather, with marks that suggest it has been handled often. The second is tall and narrow, with a deep blue cover and no inscription at all. The third is heavy and thick, with a polished wooden cover adorned with runes or symbols you don't recognize. Each volume seems to carry a different energy, as if each one told a specific type of story, perhaps deeper or more personal than the ones you've encountered so far. The gray cat looks at you as if waiting for your choice, but without pressure. You slowly extend your hand, unsure of which one to take. There is no clear sign indicating the right choice, and maybe that's exactly the point, to let you decide based on what you feel, not on what you think you should choose. Your fingers first touch the light leather book, warm to the touch. Then you rest your hand on the blue volume, which radiates a strange, almost meditative calm. Finally, you place your hand on the wooden book, which seems to vibrate faintly, as if it were alive. The cats watch closely, as if every gesture is being recorded in some quiet way. Once again, you realize this cafe is not just a place, it is some sort of reflection of your inner world. As you slowly pull whichever book you choose, you feel the room shift subtly, as though the decision has unlocked something within the cafe. The light adjusts, the air feels lighter, and the cats relax, as if the choice was correct simply because it came from instinct. You hold the book against your chest for a moment, trying to grasp the depth of the experience. The rain outside softens, turning almost into a whisper, and the cafe seems to wait for your next step with infinite patience. And in that moment, you understand. Here, every gesture matters not for its outcome, but for the meaning it carries, and there is still much left to discover in this quiet night. With the chosen book in hand, you walk back to the table slowly, accompanied by the 3 cats who now form a small ceremonial procession. The room feels even quieter, as though the cafe were waiting for the moment you will open the volume. As you sit, you notice your cup of tea has been refilled, hotter, more fragrant, as if prepared specifically for this next chapter of the night. The cats position themselves carefully around you, the gray one at your side, the yellow one curled near your feet, and the black one at the corner of the table, watching every movement with almost professional focus. It's impossible to ignore the feeling that all of them are prepared for something important. You take a deep breath and open the book gently, expecting to find aged pages or words too worn to read without effort. But what you see is entirely different from what you imagined. On the first page, the words appear clearly, yet with an unusual trait. They seem to adjust themselves before your eyes, shifting slightly in shape, reorganizing as if searching for the best way to speak to you. It isn't a dramatic or theatrical kind of magic. It feels more like the text is alive, calmly molding itself to match exactly what you can understand, or what you need to hear tonight. The cats watch the page as though they already know this behavior well. The first sentence is simple, but deeply personal. There is always a moment when you forget yourself. You recognize something in those words, not because you've read them before, but because they reflect a thought of yours hidden somewhere in the mind. As you continue reading, you realize the book does not tell a conventional story with characters, events, and conflicts. Instead, it shifts between subtle observations, small reflections, and vague scenes that seem to adapt to your imagination. Sometimes the sentences resemble memories. Other times, they feel like the kind of advice you never received but always wished someone had said. It's as if the book is trying to translate into language what you feel but have never known how to express. As you move through the pages, you notice that the rhythm of the text follows your emotions. When your mind warms, the phrases become more fluid. When you question yourself, the paragraphs deepen. And above all, when your breathing slows, the book seems to slow with you. It is an intimate, almost disarming experience, yet profoundly comforting. The presence of the cats reinforces this feeling. They don't just accompany your reading, they seem to understand every shift in your state of mind. The yellow cat, for instance, lifts his head and lets out a soft sigh whenever a more sensitive passage appears, as if reacting to what the book reveals about you. There comes a moment halfway through when the words begin describing the exact feeling you had upon entering that alley for the first time. The surprise, the exhaustion, the desire to disappear for a few minutes. They all appear with a precision no one could possibly guess. The book speaks of the weight of accumulating identical days, of the impact of ignoring your limits, and of the unexpected encounters with small refuges that appear when life finally decides to offer a pause. Seeing your experiences so accurately translated brings a quiet relief, as though someone has finally put order to feelings you've never managed to organize on your own. The cats draw closer, as if recognizing that shift in you. When you reach the end of that section, you notice the last page you read begins to fade slowly, as though erasing what has already fulfilled its purpose. It isn't frightening. In fact, it feels serene. The book seems to say that some words only need to exist for a moment until you understand them. After that, they can disappear, making room for new ones. When you turn to the next page, you find it blank again, waiting. And that's when you understand. Like the previous book, this one is not a finished work. It will continue writing itself for as long as you remain open to the experience. The cats regard the empty page with respect, as if they know this blank space is not a lack of content but a necessary pause, a breath within your own story. You close the book slowly, letting the final blank page remain open before you like a silent invitation. The cafe feels even quieter now, as if it were waiting for your reaction, assessing what that reading stirred inside you. The feeling is different from when you open the first book. Now there is more clarity, more understanding, and at the same time, a strange lightness that doesn't match the emotional weight you carried when you entered that alley. The gray cat approaches and presses his forehead gently against your hand. A simple gesture, yet one that feels like he's telling you that you reached exactly where you needed to be tonight. The rain outside, once steady, begins to slow, giving way to a silence that feels almost like a fresh beginning. When you lift your eyes, you notice the cafe's lighting has shifted in an almost imperceptible way. The lamps now glow with a softer tone, as if the room were adjusting itself for a transition. The old shelf, the one where you found the 3 books, seems to return to its previous state. Less illuminated, more discreet, as though it has already fulfilled its purpose. The remaining volumes also appear quiet again, without any special glow. It's curious how the cafe never moves dramatically. It only changes just enough to signal something, without ever startling you. You're beginning to understand that this place functions like an emotional mirror, reflecting, rearranging, and returning to you what you need to see. The cats shift their posture too. The yellow one stretches slowly, letting out a soft sound of contentment before walking toward a nearby cushion. The black one climbs down from the table, walks to the back door, and sits there like a silent guardian, observing you calmly. The gray cat stays close but steps back slightly, giving you space, as if the cafe itself were allowing you to absorb everything without interference. The sensation of being observed fades and is replaced by a lighter presence, one that suggests the rhythm of the night is now yours, not the cafe's. For the first time, you feel fully aware of what you are experiencing. When you look out the window, you see that the rain has nearly stopped. Only a few drops still slide down the glass, forming small paths that disappear before reaching the end. The street looks different too. Still quiet, still subtle, but with a glow that wasn't there before. Perhaps it's just the cafe's lamps reflecting outside. Perhaps it's simply the way you see things now. The world beyond the glass no longer appears so heavy or so urgent. It's strange to realize how such a small place, hidden in an alley you barely noticed before, managed to rearrange so much inside you. And slowly, a simple thought emerges. Maybe that's what the cafe does. Restore weight and lightness to the places where they belong. For a few moments, you remain seated, observing the cats, the room, and the book resting on your table. Nothing urges you to stay or to leave. Nothing demands an immediate decision. The cafe offers that rare freedom, the freedom to exist without obligations. And it is precisely in that pause that you begin to realize how different you feel. More present, less burdened. The books didn't solve problems, didn't bring magical answers or promises of change. They simply revealed what you already carried but couldn't see. And by acknowledging that, you start to understand that maybe this is the cafe's true purpose, to reveal what has been hidden beneath the noise of the day. When you finally stand, the cafe doesn't react with any movement. The cats watch, but calmly, as if they already know this part of the experience belongs solely to you. The cup of tea remains full, still warm, like a final gesture of farewell. The door, once heavy and distant, now looks inviting, as if the path outward is just as meaningful as the path inward. You hold the chosen book for a moment before setting it back on the table, allowing it to remain there for the next visitor who may need it. And as you walk toward the door, with the cats accompanying your steps, you realize that the night is ready to change its color, and so are you. When you push the door open to leave, the cool night air greets you like a slow, almost ceremonial embrace. The rain has stopped completely, leaving a soft sheen on the ground that reflects the streetlights like tiny sparks scattered along the sidewalk. The alley, the same one that once felt so narrow and almost non-existent, now holds a completely different presence. No longer a hidden corridor, but a quiet, peaceful path, welcoming in its simplicity. The change is subtle yet undeniable. You understand that nothing out here has actually transformed, you have. And this realization brings a lightness that is difficult to describe but easy to feel throughout your whole body, as if every part of you finally found its own rhythm. As you take a few steps out, you glance over your shoulder, half expecting to see the cats at the doorway watching your exit. But the cafe's facade already looks different. The lights are dimmer, the windows less defined, as though the place is slipping back into its hibernation mode, waiting only for the next visitor who will need it. A small flicker of doubt touches you. Will you ever find this place again? Will the alley be there tomorrow? Deep down, you already know the answer. That cafe is not a place meant to be found. It appears when necessary at exactly the right moment and fades when its purpose is complete. Yet the thought brings no sadness, only serenity. The night is cold, but not unkind. A gentle breeze moves down the street, carrying with it the faint scent of wet earth and the soft echo of a distant car. None of it feels urgent or intrusive. It's simply the world continuing on its own path while you adjust to the feeling of returning to it with new eyes. As you walk toward the main avenue, you notice the city's rhythm slowly restoring itself. The sounds return, the lights sharpen, the shapes regain definition. And yet, something inside you remains aligned with the cafe's calm, as if the experience had left a small flame burning, an inner place to which you can return whenever you need. As you observe the buildings, the streets, and life unfolding without knowing what happened in that alley, you carry with you a simple but profound thought. The pause you found there wasn't magical or supernatural. It was necessary. That space, tended by silent cats and books that write themselves, served as a bridge between everyday chaos and a kind of introspection rarely found in the rush of modern life. And now, as you breathe deeply, you realize you don't need to take anything tangible from the experience. What truly matters is already within you. A little more calm, a little more clarity, and the memory that there are places, real or symbolic, that guide us back to our own center. Just before turning the corner, you allow yourself one last glance back. The alley now looks ordinary, almost unremarkable, as though it never hid anything special at all. The sign is no longer visible, the lights appear turned off, and the door blends into the old walls around it. Yet still, you smile, because even if that cafe never appears the same way again, you know the encounter happened, and nothing can erase that. Places like that do not follow ordinary logic. They exist in the gaps, in the intervals, in the moments when the mind is tired and the heart asks for rest. And you know that if you ever need it again, the path will appear, whether you look for it or not. As you walk down the street with lighter steps and an easier breath, you realize that the experience of that night wasn't an escape. It was a return to yourself, to what you stopped hearing over the days, to what you lost amid the rush and responsibilities. The cafe of silent cats, tucked between shelves, warm tea, and self-writing stories, fulfilled its purpose gently, without noise or demands. And now, as the night moves on and you merge again with the sounds of the city, you carry with you the certainty that there will always be spaces, inside or outside, where calm still breathes. And in its own way, that is enough.